Hello everybody, this is James Shore with another test-driven development video. When we left off in our last episode, we had just gotten a basic stub of the application working. I'm just going to make sure that's still running. So yeah, this is just really basic, it's all hard-coded, but it's going to allow us to do some desk checking of our work, which is important. So now what I'd like to do is get rid of default table model and replace it with our own model. The neat thing about Swing is you can write your own model classes and have that hook up to your domain layer, and you can actually do that without relying on the connecting to the UI at all, which means it's very easy to test that code, which is really important. One of the open questions I have is whether or not the table model should just connect to an existing, say, stock market account class, or whether the model should just manage all of the years itself. I'm not sure how I want that to work, but we will see. The other thing I want to let you know about is somebody in the forums, Johannes Broadwell. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Johannes. Johan. Anyway, he told me how to fix the Eclipse not running all the tests all the time problem, and for that I am so grateful. So thank you so much. The way it works is you go into Preferences, you go onto Run, Debug, Launching, and you click this button right here, Always Launch the Previously Launched Application. And then you tell it to run your tests. And from that point forward, no matter what you have selected, when you run your tests, or when you run, it will run all the tests. And of course, it will actually run whatever you selected to go last, but I'm going to just have it set up to run all the tests. So I'm so thankful to finally have this solved. It was driving me crazy, because I would actually, in other programming I would do, I would actually have a failing test and not realize it because my workflow wasn't causing those tests to be running and I wasn't noticing. So this is a real nice thing. Okay, so now let's get this hooked up to the model. Now, I'm not actually going to write the new model with tests right away, and the reason for that is because I don't understand Swing that well yet. I actually used it a long time ago, but I never did it with test-driven development. Most of my clients these days are doing web apps. It really does seem to be where everybody's going. And the ones that are doing rich client stuff are typically using .NET. So I haven't done Swing with test-driven development ever, I think. So since I haven't done Swing with test-driven development before, I'm not entirely sure how it works. And because it's actually more expensive to write something with test-driven development in the short term than not, I will tend to use spikes or just untested code to verify I understand something before I go to the expense of writing the test on it. And then I will replace that code with tested code. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start out by just writing a little stock market table model. I could do this as a standalone spike, but I want to hook it into my actual stub UI. Let's have that extend abstract table model. And let's hook that into the application. Okay. Yeah, so there we've got nothing. Let's go ahead and fix our warnings. And now I'm just going to return some number of columns. I'm actually not going to do it the way it should work, because I want, when I do write the test on this and replace this code, I want to see it change. Okay, so there's a columns. We don't see a row, but I think that's because we don't have a value in there yet. So let's return column index. Yeah, okay, so there's proof that we know how to hook up our own table model into the UI. So that's good. Now I'm going to go back and replace this code with test-driven code. And I think what I'd like to do first is get, I want to get these columns done properly. So let's start with that. Running all my tests. I love it. Finally. Okay. And I think we want to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 columns. And that should fail. Expect 7 was 4. And easy to make it pass. And that should still, that should show 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the column names in there. That should fail. That should pass. And now we should see year across the top. Yeah. It's important to do this desk checking because you just can't be certain. Test-driven development is really good at confirming that you've programmed what you intended to program, but it cannot tell you if your understanding of the situation is correct. So if I misunderstood how get column name worked, perhaps in Swing it didn't actually set the column name, it did something else. If I misunderstood that, test-driven development wouldn't help me. It says that it says I'm supposed to return year from that method, and I am returning year from that method. So I have to do the desk check to make sure that my core understandings are correct. And this is even true in the domain model, although you didn't see me do it there. In the domain model on a real Agile team, you'll do your desk check with your domain experts. So when I was not certain, when I was doing stuff like taxes and compound tax rate and all that stuff, I should have been running it by a real domain expert, except I don't have one here. But that kind of desk checking should be happening all the time. Test-driven development is great at making sure that as a programmer, you've programmed what you think you're programming, and you've done that correctly, but it cannot tell you if you're correct in your assumptions. It can't validate your assumptions. It just says you programmed your assumptions like you intended to, which is great. I mean, that's a huge step forward. It's like, it's the difference between compilers telling you when there were syntax errors and just crashing. So I mean, it's a huge advantage to know when you've made an error in your your basic programming, but it cannot correct your judgment. So that's why it's important to do other checks as well as the TDD. So let's continue on. We want starting balance. Balance. And that should fail. And starting principle. That should fail. Okay. Now that everything's working, let's do something a little less cheesy with this. That's working just fine. That's working just fine. And there we go. Now we can just, I am going to, well, let's make sure that that should work. All the columns should be in. They shall be right. Year starting balance. Yeah. So I am going to put the remaining columns in here in the test. You know, I'm not sure if I need to do that. See, and the reason I'm pausing here is that I could type all these in, but all I'm really doing is asserting that these strings are the same. And that's just going to be a pain in the butt because in the future I am going to change the names. I don't know how or why, but I know that at some point I'm going to be dissatisfied with this, probably as I'm doing polish on the UI, and I'm going to want to change these names. And if I hard code all those names here as well, then I just have to go in and change these too. And that's okay. I mean, that's just what happens with test-driven development. But adding more asserts here doesn't buy me anything. I have now proven to my satisfaction that this code is correct. So I'm not actually going to put in the remaining column names in the test because I don't need to do that in order to drive new code. It will just pass. So I think I'm going to stop there with the columns. They're working. Yep. So now let's move on to, well, row count I think I want to leave at 1 for now. So let's do get value at. So this is going to be interesting. I guess we need to, well, first let's pull this out. I think what we need to do let's just test the first row. We'll just do 1 row for now. And stock market. You know, in the past I've said I don't like setup methods because they prevent you, they make it a little clunky to do different instantiations of the same object. But I think in this case we're going to have the same instantiation everywhere. So I am going to go ahead and pull that out into a setup method. So that should still work. Oh, it doesn't. What am I doing wrong? We've got an aliasing problem here. Let's do that. Okay. So next up is doing the first row of the table. It looks like I'm pretty close out of time, so that's where we'll pick up next time. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.